Hello, everybody. It's Wednesday, 3rd of May, and it's a pleasure to be here with my friends, Silvia, Gibbons, and Charles Kempf. And today's topic it is twin souls. So we will talk about does twin souls exist? This is true. Do you have your soulmate? So all these type of questions we will try to answer today according to the Spiritism. So that's it from me. So good night, Charles. You're on mute, Charles. You're on mute.
Hello, bonjour, good evening, good afternoon to everyone. Happy to be here again with you to talk about this subject, which sometimes comes a recurrent question for the concern from the people about these twin souls. Is it really real or not? And how can we analyze this question in the point of view of the Spiritist body of knowledge?
Yeah. Thank you. Good evening, Miss Gibbons. How are you, my dear?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you. Hope everyone is well, everyone listening to us. Good evening, Beatrice. And, as Charles said, today is an interesting theme. People talk about this, and it's good to clarify the Spiritist point of view about twin souls or soulmates, as they call them. So welcome, everyone. And let's have a nice meeting. Boa tarde a todos que estão nos ouvindo. Grande abraço a todos, bem-vindos a essa nossa live hoje. E é o tema das almas gêmeas, que é uma coisa que é sempre perguntado. Então vai ser interessante de falarmos sobre isso na visão espírita. Boa tarde, bem-vindos, e que Jesus nos abençoe a todos.
Okay, good. Good evening, Beatriz Gilles. Good to have you here, my dear. Let me share my screen. Let's see our video today. And do this, and we can go from here.
Why on earth did I have to come exactly to this family? You might like your family a lot, a little, or might not like it at all. Doesn't matter. Family is so important in everyone's life. Family is our first resource. It's the ones who are closer to us, who can help us in life, and we can help them in life as well. How Spiritism sees family? Are you fine with your family? You love every single person in your family? Probably not. No one of us do have a perfect family. That's only on commercials, on TV commercials, right? How does Spiritism explains that? Well, if we are all spirits as we are, and if we are reincarnating, people that are around us in our family are spirits that are connected with us in some way. Maybe it's a good connection, maybe we're really close friends to these people, maybe we have lived other lives or past experiences with them, and we love them, and we come together again to improve this relationship, to do good for the people around us, and maybe not. Sometimes in our family comes a spirit or two or three or many that are not yet so well connected. Maybe with us, our brothers, sisters, wives, husbands, children, brothers-in-law, whatever. Maybe there is some problems between us. Maybe in the past we had a fight. Maybe we were partners in a business and one stole the other guy. Maybe I killed someone and this person comes back with me as my brother or my sister or my wife. The relationship will be a bit tough. But that's exactly why we're together in a family, to try to recover this relationship, to try to become better acquainted with them. And it's in our interest to improve this relationship. So the tip there is the following. If in your family there's not everything is fine, if there's some people that you don't really go well with them, those are the people you should address to. Those are the people you should make a stronger effort trying to get acquainted, try to be well with him or her. Try to understand this person, try to have more patience, try to put yourself in this person's shoes to understand the way he or she sees life. The opportunity you're having together in the family is the opportunity you need to recover this relationship. We are here reincarnating to evolve mentally, intellectually, and also morally. And the family is the best laboratory for that.
Okay. So why I have choose those videos? Because when we talk about twin souls, we just think about your other half. Who gonna be married? Doesn't matter what kind of relationship you have, but who gonna be the person gonna stay with me? Shall I build, or we will build a family together? So the answers why it's happened, we will try to guide you today. But I'd like to start this conversation with Charles. And my friend, straightforward question: do we have a twin soul?
Good question, thanks, Stevan. This question of the twin souls is treated by Allan Kardec in the Spirit's book, in chapter 6, which is about the spirit, is the life in the spiritual world. And there is a sub-chapter which is called Sympathies and Antipathies Amongst Spirits and Eternal Halves. And indeed, Kardec is clearly asking to the spirits, for instance, if we have another half, or if we have twin souls, because it's something that we hear a lot. A lot of people are thinking a lot or are waiting, particularly in the young, when they are teenagers and so on, to look and with hopeful, full of hope for finding the eternal half. And in fact, the Spiritist body of knowledge, when Kardec asked, do we really have an eternal half? The spirit who is answering, the Spirit of Saint Louis, is answering, this expression of half is not correct, because what we did mean that there is one spirit that has been cut in two halves at a given point in time that should encounter again, and this is clearly not what is happening. Because if you cut a spirit in half, it's not a spirit anymore, So the expression is indeed not correct. Now, if the people think that we have, how to say, a particular union with another spirit that will then last for the eternity, it is also a notion which is not correct, not confirmed by the spirits, because there is no particular union or fatal union between two souls, predestined union between two souls. The unity exists from the affinities the souls have one to each other, and what the Spiritist teachings are also saying is, the more the spirits are evolving, the more somehow they are united in their high evolution. This means the same question comes when we are trying to identify or to certify the identity of a communicating spirit. If it's an elevated spirit giving a high elevated message, the identity is secondary, because it can be Peter, Paul, or Jack, or whoever, the message is good. And all these spirits with high elevation will have the same thoughts in pure harmony with the natural laws, and will give the high elevated message, whether it is one or the other or third one. So all these notions, Spiritist body of knowledge is really helping us to stay humble, because we are not capable of ranking this high elevated spirit, because we are too low. We cannot rank to say that Jesus is higher or bigger than Krishna or than Buddha or whatever. Who are we to judge this type of things, you know? All of them are from the same spiritual team, which is here around the earth, helping the earth. And if it's one or the other or the third one, they will, in fact, stay the same things, bring the same content, body of knowledge and information. So to answer the question, it is no, there is no such thing as an internal half. And interestingly, there is a book from Chico Xavier entitled The Consoler. I don't know if it's translated into English, not sure. And in this book, it's also the same form of questions and answers, questions from Chico Xavier or some members of his group. And the answer came from Emmanuel. And one of the questions was about the same. Do we have eternal life or one twin soul with whom we will meet one day and stay together for the eternity? And Emmanuel is somehow answering that yes, we have. No? And before publishing the book, no, the responsible of the publishing entity for Brazilian Federation saw that there is a contradiction between what Emmanuel answered and these answers from Kardec. So they asked Chico, can you please ask Emmanuel to clarify why it's not the same as in the Spirit's book? And the answer from Emmanuel was quite straightforward. He said, look, if you find some discrepancy between me and Kardec, please stay with Kardec, stick to the Kardec position. So it was, I think, a wise and humble answer that Emmanuel made. Of course, there is then a kind of misunderstanding possible with the meanings of the word and so on. But there is nothing such as a twin soul. All the spirits, as in the measures that they evolve and become better, will at the end be united. Okay. Here on Earth, of course, it's only by groups of affinity, depending on the sometimes different level of evolution, as Caldini told it very well in the video you showed at the beginning. But at the end, all the souls will be united in their high evolution. That's what I can answer so far. You are mute as well, Stevan.
Thank you, my friend. And now we're going to London, because today we have a very good special day. Everybody's it's bank holiday in London. Now we have King Charles.
No, Monday
No?
is bank holiday. Monday is a bank holiday.
Monday.
Monday.
Okay, sorry. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, everybody's working today.
Okay.
Preparing for the coronation, yes. Special time.
Yeah. Okay. My dear,
Funny.
since we don't have twin soul, in what sense should we understand the term other half?
Well, I think I wrote down the question here. It doesn't really. It's not appropriate. This question, other half. We don't have other halves because our souls. I think, like Charles explained, our souls is not divided. Because if we had a soul divided, depending on other people, we wouldn't be completed. So the spirit, our soul, is one. And we don't have other half as such, in a sense that, we're not split in the middle, waiting for another party to come and join it for us to be complete. So this is an incorrect thing, as the Spirit says. And what I think we have, and what, in the whole chapter here of the Spirit's book, is similarity of thoughts. We have sympathies, we have the same ideas, and I think it's different as well in the spiritual world without in the corporeal world, because here we have pride, we have selfishness, we have self-interest. There is a lot of things. So it's in the spiritual world really that the spirits are more connected, because they don't have any other barriers. But once we come into the spiritual world, we find people that we like because they share the same ideas with us, they have the same kind of sentiment, and this in a way we complete each other in terms of what I lack you have, so you can feel that for me, and what you lack maybe Charles have or somebody else have, and that's how and we have this kind of unity or purpose. Say for instance, like the three of us here, we have a purpose of that we love spiritism, has been part of our lives, and it has made changes in our lives, have made our lives a bit easier, and so we wanted to share with everyone who comes to be with us, who listen to us. And we have this strength of purpose, and in a way we are souls that we share the same ideas, the same thoughts, and we feel good together, and that's the thing. But as soul that we have to be completed, no. So in terms of the soul, to say we have a other half is incorrect. But of course, this is a very common expression. A lot of people, especially married people, will say, "Oh, this is my other half." The person already lost their name, their identity. They just my other half. And I think it probably as well is just a sort of loving expression, meaning that person completes you, but in a sense of sharing your life, sharing things. You get married, you have children, you love each other. So in that sense, that you feel fulfilled with that person, having oh yes, that's my other half and everything. But as spiritually speaking, we don't have other halves. Our soul is one, is unique, is complete. We do not need anyone else to come and be united with us so that our soul can be complete and one. If it's clear. But of course, we share each other's thoughts and sympathies, like the title in the Spirit's book about sympathies, and we share, and in a way we fulfill each other, but not spiritually. Our soul is one and is unique and is fulfilled in itself. And as we grow, as we progress spiritually, as we evolve spiritually, we become in a way almost more, because we have more knowledge, we have more compassion, more loving, and that's why this state of complete harmony exists in the spiritual world, and here we are just trying to achieve it. So I don't know if it answers your question.
Yeah, Nadja. Yeah, thank you. And I know we have here Lou is here, Beatriz Giles. So if you do have any questions about our topic today, please write down in the comment box. And let's keep saying this. Okay, we do not have a twin soul. We do not have our other half because we are complete. But what make us to, let me say, what is the sympathy that attracts one spirit to another? Charles, can you help me here?
Yes, so the sympathy which attracts one spirit to another's is depending on whether they agree in their trends, in their opinions, or in their instincts somehow. Uh, s- that is what is explaining the sympathy or the affinity between spirits. So it's a little bit the same process than for the sympathy between the people which are incarnated. They like the same things, they have the same ideals, they have the same hobbies, and so on. So this is why they are sympathetic together. And the good spirits, the elevated spirits, their sympathy is in doing good, in being in harmony with the natural laws. And that is why all the spirits who reach that level, they are sympathetic. They are somehow united. And it's only on Earth with spirits which are not yet so elevated, like ourselves, that we can have different opinions. And we can see it very clearly nowadays in our society. You see, you have, for instance, in the politics, the right and the left, and even in the same family, sometimes some discords between members because one is more sympathetic to one side than to the other. And in Earth, we have on the Earth nowadays, we have a lot of subjects like this, which are in fact testing us, try to dividing us. But as soon as we elevate ourselves, as soon as we study the law of the nature, which are the divine law as well, as soon as we understand this this criterion for the sympathy between the spirits. These are what are really the real values, the one which are eternal and not only temporary during an incarnation. Then, of course, we slowly but surely work to progress in that direction. And the more we progress, the more we will have the spirits with the same level of evolution, of higher evolution, which are around us with these sympathetic links. Caldini told it very clearly at the beginning in the video as well. So you have in a family sometimes some members which have this big affinity, but sometimes there are also others which are more complicated. And the explanation for that is problems or prejudice that we have caused in the past that we have to compensate right in this life. And that is why sometimes even between in the same family, father and son, or mother and daughter, and or other, which are together in order to reconciliate and to repair the prejudice that they may have caused one to the other in a past life. So, but once we are evolving, of course, this sympathy which attracts one to the other is linked to the level of evolution. And the spirits are even, as Saint Louis is saying, that, where is it? Voilà. More the spirits, the greater the spirits are purified, the more united they are. And this is summarizing basically the answer to this question.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you. Silvia, okay, as Charlie said, and Caldini in our video, a family is composed by sympathetic spirits and non-sympathetic spirits. Okay? Can a non-sympathetic spirit become a sympathetic spirit to others? And the other way around. So can these change or not? Or once we are sympathetic with that spirit, we are together?
Well, I mean, talking about families, we know that the families how could we put it? It's an envy, isn't it? Because we usually comes in the families where we have things to readdress a lot of the difficulties that we had in the past. So in the families, we have people that are very friendly and we like them. And sometimes we have more difficulty with others. I must I'm blessed because we don't have too much of this stuff in my family. We seem to like each other very well. Although, have a little disagreement here and there, but mostly we love each other. I don't have a very big family, but at least, I feel very happy with that, and I feel glad and blessed that I love them all. But there are families that there is a lot of difficulties. We have old enemies that will come into the family because they either have regretted and they want to ask forgiveness, or we ask to help them. So if we might not be in the same level of sympathy with everyone, but we can always do that. A spirit that is not liked or doesn't like us, we can turn it, we can make a difference, especially, say, for instance, in our family, if we make an effort to understand that person better, because there is always one or another person who rubs you the wrong way, doesn't it? Either be in your family or amongst your friends or at work, there is always someone who rubs you the wrong way. At least I always find someone. But it's just because sometimes our spirit doesn't quite tally. They don't quite think the same way. Is different. But, I think just a little effort sometimes will make a big difference. I have had situations that, people at work would come in and, never say anything. And then I would always say, good morning. How are you today? A few times they just look at me as if I was gone mad or something, saying good morning. But then, eventually, one day, actually, this person, and she didn't like me for some reason that had nothing to do with me. But anyway, and then one day she came down, she sat next to me and she said, I didn't like you at all, because this and that and the other, because she knew somebody. But you always say good morning to me in such a nice way, as if you really mean it, that I should have a good day, that I'm beginning to like you now. And I was quite surprised because, she just came in, never said good morning or anything. But, and I think afterwards we became quite good friends at work. It was quite nice. She would come and sit to talk to me and tell me about her things. And in the end was really nice, and I think we can change. A spirit that is not sort of sympathetic to you, they can change if we make a little effort, I think, or sometimes they do, because we don't need great, I don't know how Charles feels, but sometimes we don't need great things to do momentous things. Maybe just, like I said, just a good morning. She didn't answer. I never stopped saying. I said, oh, good morning, have a good day, good morning, good morning. And eventually she said, oh, yeah, it looks as if you really wish me a good morning, a good day. And so, we became good friends. And I feel that spirits can be sympathetic, but sometimes, I don't know if you agree. I think if you come to a level of sympathy with that person, that you be it between a family, or friends, or colleagues, whatever. I think when we come to that level of understanding them, it's very. I don't think we sort of go back to dislike them again, because there is a kind of work, something happening between, that we can see their good qualities and they can see our good qualities, and the things that maybe we don't like so much about them, we can overcome that, and they probably do that. I find that, maybe I'm wrong, please, tell me your opinion, but I find once you have done this struggle to be in sympathy with someone in the same level, it's very difficult to sort of go back again and being bad because you already worked on that situation. So I think it's easier for someone who you didn't have sympathy with to become, to really like them and become quite friends, than, maybe someone you really liked and the person, you'd stop disliking them. Unless we like someone because we project on them qualities that they probably don't have, and they would disappoint us terribly. But on the other hand, that's not their fault. It's the fault is our own. We transfer to people qualities that they may not have, and it's a bit of a disappointment. But I think that that's how we build, making a little effort in a family. We should make even extra better to like people. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, no, you're right, Nadja. Yeah. It's all depends how you are tuned, how is your vibration, why do you like it, you don't like it. So we do have a
Because
question.
there is a kind of, when you start liking someone, you have a kind of there is a kind of sympathy, there is a kind of understanding. Your thoughts are connected, aren't they? Somehow you think more or less the same way, you like the same things, isn't it, when you like someone? Sorry, you were going to say something.
No, I
What
was
is the
just
question,
saying
Beatrice?
it's always tricky, this, it's always tricky because how many times we think we are attracted, we do have something in that falls apart, so it's more how many couples, let's say, they are so tuned in one stage of the life, but after, let's take an example today. Before I joined here, I saw a quick message. Harrison Ford is divorcing from his wife. Harrison Ford? I don't know.
Harrison Ford, the Indiana Jones, bro.
I think so. Yeah, but after
Look at
20
me.
years of marriage,
Yes,
they
he seems.
decided to divorce.
I think 20 years is maximum, isn't it? It must be his third wife now.
Well,
He's married for 20 years and he gets divorced.
very well. But
Oh, it's a shame, though. It's a shame.
but that's the point. Like, some stage, they start to go into different directions. And this is not a bad thing, to be honest. Charles.
Yes, Stevan, and basically, what is attracting them one to the other? If it's a material cause, if this material cause
Yeah.
disappears, they are not attracted anymore and they divorce, they get separated one from the other. Is an example. I don't say it's this a case of Harrison Ford, but because I don't know the particulars of the case. But in case the attraction is material, when this material motive for the attraction, for the sympathy between brackets, is not existing anymore, the sympathy disappears.
Exactly.
But if the sympathy is really from spirit to spirit, from soul to soul, it is much stronger. And that will not dissolve just by material contingencies or whatsoever.
No.
The real sympathies are from soul to soul. And even, the family ties and the links from the same blood, from same family, and the links between spirit to spirit, the links from spirit to spirit are much stronger even than the family bonds.
Yeah.
So this is basically the point of view of the spiritual body of knowledge is to see it with the spiritual eyes and not only from the material eyes.
Yeah.
But that's the point I wanted to reach. I was provoking you guys to saying this. Like,
Sorry for being so long to come with it,
Yeah.
but okay.
But
No,
I think that there is something in the gospel, isn't it? When they talk about marriage and everything, because usually people will marry for social reasons or material interest, financial interest, and then of course, you know, they say, oh, they're very good for each other. You know, they made for each other because they have like the same kind of social status and everything. Not spiritual, and it will disappear. Because also they, you know, there is that quotation from Jesus that what God puts together, no man will put asunder. So those who are connected by in the level of the spirit, they are always will be connected by the level of the spirit. But we know also that a lot of marriages is we have to come with certain people to readdress lots of wrongs, don't we? We know that marriages are, and sometimes maybe, you know, they come to a point, they fulfill the mission that they had with that person and disappear. Because Beatrice, actually, she has a question here, has two
yeah, I
spirits.
will ask the question. Go ahead. Go ahead. You're reading. Go ahead.
Did you read? Have you answered already? Sorry.
No, I'm waiting. Finish this discussion to show to.
Yes, because I mean, this is sort of going to the questions that you
Yeah.
asked, isn't it? If people at different levels of evolution can be attracted to each other. I, I, I find it difficult actually to answer this question because, in a way, if there is something between the two of them that needs to be readdressed, it might be something from the past, they coming back together. You know, and then they will be attracted to each other because they have that. But if we talk in the level of sympathy among spirits, that we go for the people who have the same feelings as us, the same kind of thoughts that we have and whatever we like, then it's a little bit more difficult. But I think they can be attracted to each other. And, you know, I suppose in many ways is a kind of part of the program that they have to overcome in life to understand. I don't know what you think, Charles, or you, Stevan.
Yes, I mean, of course, the spirit which is more advanced than the other one, an evolved spirit is, how to say, attracted, is a way of saying, is loving basically all the spirits, even the one which are below him. Jesus came on earth because he loved the humanity, in spite of all what the humanity has done with him. So, but then when we talk about affinity, for instance, of living together, of course, the more evolved spirit will even live in a higher evolved, advanced planet, and cannot live together with a less evolved spirit, which is in a lower evolved planet. You know, so this difference between evolution is, of course, how to say, one will have love and compassion, the elevated one for the other one, but they will not, since they are not at the same level of evolution, they may not be capable, or it may not be possible for them to live together in the same world. Albeit, when you read some books, like, for instance, this romance from Emmanuel, 2,000 years ago, you see Livia, for instance, is an elevated spirit who was incarnating with Publius Lentulus, isn't it? So there were different levels, and we could clearly see that Livia was, of course, perfect spouse, exemplar, and so on, for her husband, but the husband did not recognize this at all in her, because of this different of level of evolution. And you have the same type of situation in another romance of Emmanuel, which is renuncia. How do you say that in English, Silvia?
Renunciation.
Renunciation, where you have a similar situation.
Yes.
Very high evolved spirit, which is making a kind of a sacrifice for incarnating on Earth in order to help the loved one to progress and to evolve with more or less success depending on the case. So this we can see the benevolence for the high elevated spirits towards the lower elevated spirits.
Yeah, I agree with you both. I just think a high is when you are in a higher level, the values you give to something is different from the values in a person who is a lower level gives. So they can be attracted, but perhaps in a different kind of attraction. You know, for example, in the book Nosso Lar, André Luiz, André's mom tried to help her husband, and they are completely clearly they were in a different state, different vibrations, different states. But even though, because the love she has towards him as a spirit, she will do everything to help him, even though they are in different levels.
But I think in many ways, this, like the case that from the book Annunciation, it was Alcyone is the name of the lady. She actually reincarnates to help man and to help, the family and everything. And, she's warned actually, are you sure? Because you can, damage yourself if you go, because getting to those connections. And in the case of André Luiz's mother as well, with the father, although they loved each other, but as you said, his father was he was more materialistic and she was more spiritual. But I think in certain situations like that, there is already that spiritual connection. So that spirit, like Livia and like André Luiz's mother, Alcyone, they are already in a level that they were friends and they love that person, and for some whatever reason that happens in life, one progress further than the other, so they feel that they need to come back to help that person to elevate and to grow. But I think Lou talks about André Luiz in the book, that they go and they promise each other and everything. But we know as well that you may go and you promise, but when you come into the spiritual, when you come into the material world, things change. We know some of the promises that we had in the spiritual world change, or because the demands that we have to readdress certain wrongs becomes harder once we are here. And we tend to sometimes choose people because of the way we are brought up, something in our spirit and in our psychology. Say for someone who had a very abusive parents, they tend to go for partners that are abusive for some reason, but there is all these long connections with the spiritual, with their past lives that we don't know. So it's in a way, it's that is, in a case, say for instance, like Livia and Toulouse and André Luiz's mother, is almost like a mission that the spirit will come to help the ones that are falling behind, to help them to rise them. So this is almost like a mission. I remember I worked with this lady. She was already in her 70s when she was still working with us. And one day she was saying she met, because her husband used to come and pick her up. She used to leave early, and they would always hold hands as they left. And they were so lovely, and she talked about him, so much love. And she said, she was 12 years old when she met him. and he was like 13, 14 or 15, something like that. And her father used to have this shop that he used to come to buy stuff just to see her. And they grew up, and they eventually they got married. They were married for over 60, 70 years, I think. But they were there, those two, if there is anything about twin souls, they were that, because they were from children. They loved each other always from the moment they saw each other. So, but this is very, very rare, isn't it, Charles? Most of us have relationships that really drain us, and are ones that we need to work to help them, and they need to help them. And if we are able to do this, I mean, I don't know. I think the two of you have very good lives, very good partners, wonderful lives. Of course, everybody has difficulties, but mostly, very loving, very caring partners. But this is quite difficult because most people have they don't they like Lou says here, inosular. But once they get here, things change a bit. The pressure of the material life sometimes it strains the relationship, and you need to because I think if you like someone really, it's the thing about work for the relationship. I don't think this is so. If you love someone, you do whatever it makes them happy. And if they love you, they do whatever makes you happy. And that's, is a good...
It's an exchange,
Yeah, exactly. It's a good measure. If you needed to work to make it better, I don't think it's the proper, that connection of love there. But you learn to love people as well, don't you? You can do that.
Yeah. Or even though those who say, I have enough love for both of us.
No, that doesn't work. I don't know what the girls say, what Beatrice or Lou says about that. They can write down for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Question. Also, we have to understand, even though we are in the spiritual world, we are not suffering the influence of the materia. And sometimes we mistake ourselves, saying, "Oh no, I'm completely done with my selfishness. I am not this. I'm okay. I have overcome this." But when I reincarnate, and the materia, is kind of pushing us, we don't know if we already overcome that selfishness or not.
Yes, really. That's why we incarnate, because
Exactly.
the physical body is a test. It's a real test. You have the theory and then the practice, and the practice is we see during the real test.
So,
Nice.
because in the books is wonderful, it's wonderful, it's great, everything, is gonna work, but let's prove it.
And sometimes it fails, and in the case really it fails. For instance, Silvia, you mentioned in the Gospel, it's talking about this. There's a chapter about the indissolubility of marriage. Don't separate what God has united. Clearly, I mean, the Spiritist body of knowledge is admitting if, for instance, when there was a material reason attracting two persons together, and if this material reason disappeared, the separation is already existing. So it's just separating officially what is by fact already separated. So Spiritism, body of knowledge, is not against divorce, for instance. And there are some critical cases, like when it goes really very wrong, when you have violence and things like this. What are you waiting for? Do you wait to be wounded or even killed? No, it's better to separate before this type of things happens. When there is no love anymore, it's better to divorce. So that is one of the difference between Spiritist body of knowledge and the Catholic Church teachings, for instance.
Yeah. And I'd like to conclude everything here with Kardec. And allow me to read, I'm in the Spirit's book, question 303. At the end, it's not the Spirits, it is Kardec comments. Kardec's comments. The theory of eternal halves is an allegory representing the union of two sympathetic spirits. It is an expression used even in ordinary speech and must not be taken literally. Spirits who have used it certainly do not belong to the highest order. The range of their ideas is necessarily limited, and they may express their thoughts using the same terminology that they use in their earthly life. We must, therefore, reject the idea that two spirits are created for each other, who must inevitably be one day reunited in the eternity, after being separated for a more or less long period of time. That's the reason. That's the reason of faith here.
The power of synthesis of Kardec is really amazing.
Yes.
But in my book, he says towards therefore it should be entirely rejected. That's my old book. It's falling apart.
It's a new book you have.
It's
Anna Blackwell.
it doesn't really. Kardec says everything really there, because no one was born for each other. Because sometimes you feel like because one tends to think only about relationships in a question of loving relationship with husband and wife and things like that. But I think they're soulmates in a way, for friends. You meet a group of people and they are so cohesive and they come together so well that they're like mates in a way, soulmates, because they need to do some work, to do something together. And I was thinking about something I read about the Beatles the other day, because I adore them. And there was something they were talking about Ringo, and Paul McCartney was saying that when Ringo actually came into the group, then they became the group to do what they had to do. And I thought that was a very curious thing, because they had that drummer before, which, they didn't, he stayed with him. And right at the beginning when they were getting famous, but he said that they recognized, the three of them, that when he came in, he was the one to be there. And they were, soulmates. They did the work they had to do, the music that they created. And there are so many different things like that people come together and they do wonderful work, and they do things together, charity work and everything. So I think in a way it's a sympathetic spirits, and they mates, friends.
See? Okay.
Yeah.
This is it.
That's
Okay. Shall we go to our announcements? Don't have any questions here. Beatriz already put it. Thank you for us. Thank you, Beatriz, for being here, watching us, and also ask your question. Thank you very much. And Lou, thank you for your great question as well. A very good question, Lou.
comment.
Let me share my screen. So this Sunday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., we will have our friend Faye Waddington giving her talk about Gabriel Delan. This year, we are dedicating the year to Gabriel Delan. And so every first Sunday of each month, someone of our friends will be here to talk about Gabriel Delan. And this Sunday it is Faye, and the topic is researches about mediumship. Okay.
He looks like my granddad, actually.
Hmm.
Delaney looks like my granddad.
Oh, perhaps, huh? Huh?
Well, it was not him, but reminded me of him. Funny.
Yeah. So every Saturday, 10:30 a.m., Charles, Munir, and Guilherme, they hold a mediums book course. So if you are interested, please join them. Also, every Monday, our friend Ebony Paris, she holds a study on the book Astral City, No Solar, at 8 p.m. London time. And Faye and Rafael Caldas, every other Tuesday, they hold the conversations on mediumship. And this is it from us. The topic for next week will be announced shortly, as we are trying to decide. We're kind of undecided which topic we're gonna aboard next week, but shortly we will
Announce it.
disclose to everyone. So, Charles, merci. Silvia, thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
And I hope you have a good long bank holiday.
Yes, I already bought my bunting. Look, celebrating our king.
Okay. See?
Yes. God save the king.
Long live to the king, you know?
Long live the king. Yeah.
Long live the king. Okay. Charles, merci, my friend.
Thank you so much for the question, for the participation, and for the opportunity we had today.
Okay. Thank you, guys. See you. Bye-bye.
See you. Yeah, all the best.
Ciao. God bless. Bye.